Next one is D flip-flop. So D flip-flop is known as the delay flip-flop. It is mostly used in shift register, counter and some input synchronization. Data flip-flop or delay flip-flop, and can be designed using the SR flip-flop by connecting a NOT gate in between S and R input and trying together. In SR flip-flop, we will have 2 input and 2 output, but in D flip-flop, you will have only 1 input to give and 2 output. So SR flip-flop is constructed by connecting the S and R flip input with the help of NOT gate to give and 2 output of Q and Q dash. Okay, this will be connected to the NOT gate and it connected with a single input, that is D. See here, this is S input and this is R. So this both will be connected with the help of the NOT gate and this is the D. And in flip-flop, usually the flip-flop diagram is this. Here we will use the NAND latch to construct the D flip-flop. This is Q's present state output and this is the Q dash, that is next state output. Truth table of D flip-flop. In D flip-flop, we will have only one input, that is 0 and 1, and output is mentioned with Qn plus 1 or Q dash, and this is state. If you give D as 0, the output will be 0. If you give D as 1, the output will be 1. And if you get an output as 0, the state is known as reset state. And if you give 1 as Qn plus 1, and the state is known as set state. Characteristic table of D flip-flop. This is D 1 input and Qn present state Qn plus 1. You need to consider this 2 variable to draw the K map. 2 variable means there will be 4 cell, that is 0, 1, 2, 3. Okay, and this is the equation you need to derive with the help of the K map. This is Q and this is Qn. And the 4 cells will be filled with 0, 1 in column and 0, 1 in row. And filled the values of 2 variable means 0, 0, 1, 1. And Qn is filled with 0, 1, 0, 1. You will get an output like this 0, 0, 1, 1. Whatever the input you will given as D, you will get an output similar to the input. If you give 0, the output will be 0. If you give 0, the output will be 0. 1 means 1. So here you will have 1 in last 2 values and it has to be placed in second and third place in the K map. Afterwards, do the grouping. There will be only one grouping is formed in this K map, that is D. Finally, Qn plus 1 is equal to D. This is the logical expression or characteristic equation of the D flip-flop. What are the advantages of D flip-flop? The first advantage is as it has single input. So it is easier to use and construct the digital circuit. And afterwards, it has no feedback loop. If there is no feedback loop means it has more stable than other types of flip-flop. So it will not be unstable during the function. It has no invalid state. In SR flip-flop, we will give the high input means we will get a value of indeterminate form. But here we will know how like indeterminate condition. And also it does not have any weak state. And it is reduced power consumption. With low amount of power, the D flip-flop is used to provide an output. And it also bistable operation, like other flip-flop, it has bistable operation. It means It can hold a state indefinitely until it is changed by an input signal. What is the limitation of D flip-flop? So if it has no feedback means we can't able to do applicable in so many digital circuit like servo system and motor control. Wherever the feedback system is available, then only we can able to use it in servo or motor control system. And no toggling is occurred in D flip-flop. In JK flip-flop, there will be a state of toggler when we will give an input as J equal to 1 and K equal to 1. But in D flip-flop, there is no toggling. And it uh, and it not to the clock signal. It is only corresponded to the data input signal. And there will be a propagation delay. So it will lead to the timing issues. And it will took too much time to give an output. And limited scalability can be challenged to scale up for more complex digital system. It can lead to increased complexity and it will make more error. Due to this, it will make more error. These are all the limitation of D flip-flop. Wherever we will use this D flip-flop, we can use it in shift register. The register is used to store the data and it will use it in machines and counter and data storage devices. These are all the applications of D flip-flop. Excitation table. So you need to draw qt plus 1 or qn plus 1. Both will be same. And you need to mention the last column with D. As usual, 0011 0101. And it is filled, D is filled with 0101. This is the excitation table of D flip-flop. Next one is T flip-flop. The T flip-flop is similar to JK flip-flop. The D flip-flop is considered with the SR flip-flop and this T flip-flop is considered with the JK flip-flop. So this JK input will be constructed together to get an in T flip-flop. This both the input will be connected together and it will mentioned with the T. And the T flip-flop is known as the toggle flip-flop. Like D flip-flop, it also has one input and two output, that is Q and Q bar. These T flip-flops are able to find out the complement of its state. And this output state will be, this will be present state and this will be next state. And it is connected with the clock. This T flip-flop is connected with the NOR latch. If you give two input, one is 0 and 1 for as input in T, you will get a value of Q and Q dash. So first, if you give 0, there will be no change state. If you give 1 as input, there will be a toggle change, toggle state. This is characteristic table or characteristic. You need to write down the characteristic equation for T flip-flop. This is the T flip-flop. Characteristic table. T is filled with 0011 and Qn is filled with 0101 and you will get an output. When 00 is given as input, you will get Qn plus 1 value as 0. When you will give T is equal to 0 and Qn is equal to 1 and you will get a value of Qn plus 1 as 1. 1 0, you will get value as output 1. If you give both the value as 1 and you will get a 0. So there will be 2 1. You need to draw the KMF for this 2 1 and it is placed in the 1 and the second place. It is two variable input variable. That's why you need to draw the K map for 4 cell. One will be mentioned with T and another is Q N. As usual method 0 1 0 1 and fill the one in the K map place. One is filled in first place and another is filled in second place. So we can able to do the two grouping here because the ones are placed in the diagonal position. If the ones are placed in vertical or horizontal, we can able to connect the two ones in one group. But it is in diagonal, so we can't able to group this both one in a single group. That's why I will mention here we need to form two groups. One is this and another group is this. This equation was placed in the value of t is 1 and the qn value is 0, that is qn dash. And this one is placed in the value of t dash and qn value is here 1. So you need to mention as it is that same variable. Afterwards, write down the equation for q into n plus 1 equal to qn dash plus t dash t qn dash plus t dash qn. This is the equation of XOR operation. That's why I will mention with t XOR q naught or with the symbol of t exclusive qn. This is the characteristic equation of t flip-flop. This is the excitation table of t flip-flop. So the opposite condition for this opposite condition of truth table. The first column is filled with q of t or q of n and the next column is filled with q n plus 1 or t plus 1 and the final that given t 0 0 1 1 0 1 0 1. Next column is filled with 0 1 0 1. Afterwards you will get an value of 0 1 1 0. What are the advantages of T flip-flop? Like D flip-flop, it also have single input where in single input that is T and it has no invalid state like SR flip-flop, like D flip-flop, and it also used in low power consumption. Like D flip-flop, it also used in bistable operation and is easy to implement. We can able to implement in states. Logic gates, and it is very cost effective for digital system. What are the limitations? It will provide the inverted output for the given input. That's why it is difficult to design for sequential logic circuit and it has some limited functionality we can't able to use widely compared with the other flip-flop, and it is vulnerable to glitches and noise of the input signal, and it is lead to unpredictable behavior of digital system, and it has propagation delay like other flip-flop as a propagation delay, so there will be a delay to provide an output. What are the application of T flip-flop? Frequency division, it can be used in frequency of the clock signal and frequency multiplication, so it is used in multiply the frequency of the clock signal by 2, and it also used in the digital signal processing. Like other flip-flop, it also used in data storage and it will also used to construct a counter.